Good morning, good morning, good morning, or good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. Today, we are going to be talking about video ads in particular. There has been so much discussion recently, honestly, for years, how impactful video is and why in the world we still, some of us haven't embraced it. Yes, I may be pointing my finger a little bit at you, but if that's you, you are in the right place today because you probably know you need to be doing video. And if you're spending money to market your business, then today's show is going to be super impactful for you because we're going to be talking about, again, what do you need to do when it comes to video ads in order to get good results. Video ads are where it's at. And you're going to learn a lot of great stuff today. So I'm excited that you're here with us. In fact, where in the world are you joining us from? We usually have a worldwide audience, people from literally all over the world. So love to know where you're coming in from today. As normal, we do giveaways on all shows. And today, I'm super excited about our giveaways today because usually I just pull something out of my store, t-shirts or mugs, and they're awesome. But today, our special guest has a super fabulous book, and we're going to be giving away 2 copies of Producing Empathy, the secret method I use to get 100 million views on videos online. So, who doesn't want that, right? So, how do you win? Well, let's talk about it. We have 3 ways that we pick winners, and we enter it into what we call the Wheel of Wow. So, you get entered into the Wheel of Wow if you decide you want one of Matt's books. Do these 3 things. And do them as many times as you want, because the more times you do these 3 things, the more entries you get into the Wheel of Wow. So 1, share your aha moment. So an aha moment is, wow, I didn't know that. So you know how sometimes you're like, oh, that's so good. I needed to know that. That's an aha moment. If you knew it, but you needed to hear it again, that's also I call that an aha moment. So use the hashtag aha in the area down there, and we'll enter you into the Wheel of Wow for the books that we're giving away today. We draw those winners at the end of today's show, so just hang in there with us, but we'll tell you who won at the end. And then the second way to win is tagging someone that you think would get value from today's show. Or just if you don't know somebody specifically, just sprinkle it out into the world, hit that S button and pass it along. We'll get as many people as we can on and share the goodies with them, okay? And the third but last, and certainly not the last, or the least, there you go, way that you can get entered into the Wheel of Wow is ask questions. We love them. We'll get to as many of them as we possibly can during today's show. If we don't get to them today, we will certainly circle back after the show and answer any questions you have. And so that you can stay focused and not have to stress over the notes, like taking notes, we got you covered, okay? So if you want show notes, all you have to do is comment notes down under, and we'll make sure you get those. We usually try to get them out within 24 hours, so be on the lookout. They'll come to you through the messenger. My Kimmy the bot helps me with that. So you'll be able to get those directly into your messenger inbox. So let's see. I see we have Rita in the house. Rita, good morning. How are you, girl? I know you just had a birthday. Happy birthday to you. I was like, man, we should have sent flowers. So I'm sending you a virtual bouquet right now. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't send them. I should have sent them. If I had known and been on top of things, I certainly would have. Eric from Las Vegas. We have Mark from Rochester, New York. Good morning. Paul, as always, so lovely to see you. We have Christopher from beautiful Southern California. All right. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. All right. So let me tell you about our special guest today. Let me get all this organized here. My sweet friend, Matt. So you guys, I just met Matt a few months ago and we just hit it off. Like super well. I'm just so thankful that I had an opportunity to connect with him. He is an online video pioneer and video marketing expert. He's driven 10 billion with a B plus video views online and made millions for his clients. So he's kind of a big deal. He's very humble and he won't tell you all the goodies, but let me tell you, he has done some incredible things, worked with some incredible clients, um, amazing success stories. So you guys are going to be incredibly blessed by the conversation today. Put your hands together for my sweet friend, Matt. Hey, Matt, welcome.
Hi, Kim.
How are you this
Thanks
morning?
for having me. I'm
Oh,
good. I'm waking up, got some coffee, doing my thing. How are
all
you?
right. I'm doing pretty good. We were just talking beforehand. Um, we're talking. Well, some of you guys know, obviously, that I've been in Virginia taking care of my dad, and he just passed last week. Last week, too. Man, I've totally lost track of time. But I was just sharing some of that stuff, all the stuff that goes with all of that, the emotions and the
Hard to,
stuff.
not exactly putting you in a live show mindset there before.
No, I know, but he
But
was
we're
90.
friends. I wanted to
Yes,
personally catch up. I mean,
yeah,
human relationships are every. I kind of feel that's why we're on this planet is to talk to
absolutely.
each other and help each other. And so,
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah,
But
that's okay.
I he was 97 and a half. That's amazing. I can only a part of me is like, I'm not sure I want to get that far, but then if I can be healthy and I can still take care of myself, I'll be happy to get to 97. Otherwise, maybe not so much. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about you. Tell me a little bit about like the kind of the backstory of how you got started. I know a little bit, but I'd love for you to tell everybody else a little bit about your backstory, how you got started, and specifically how you started doing video ads in the online space.
Sure. I hate talking about myself, but yeah, I can talk about myself a little bit here, I suppose. um, I have kind of an interesting background. When I graduated I'm 40 years old, so I graduated college in 2004. So when I graduated college back then, I really wanted to be a working theater director. That was my dream. And so I dropped myself in Manhattan and I directed plays off Broadway for 7 or 8 years, and, I guess I mentioned that because I think it's a really big part of, like, what I do now, because, I memean, I'm sort of still an artist, and I'm still very interested in storytelling, and it's a core to what I do. Eventually, I got my master's in journalism because I wanted to do news stuff. I saw there was somebody here from Vegas. I Right after I got my master's in journalism, I moved to Vegas and produced TV news for a couple of years at the ABC affiliate, KTMV. So if you know that, there you go. I saw there was somebody from Rochester too. Rochester is actually the first place that I lived after undergraduate. I worked at the NPR station there. I was on the air a little bit, doing a lot of radio operations there. So I have some ties to you all. Um, and then I went and I was a part of Business Insider's like sort of starting that video program up. Now there's hundreds. I was one of the first five, and I moved on. I built the video program at New York Magazine, and I built a bunch of new lifestyle channels at Now This. I ran video at Men's Health, Women's Health, prevention, all those properties, and then I eventually started my own business, and here we are. And I've pivoted a lot of times. And Online video is something that I was there at the beginning and helped sort of grow in the publishing world what was known as, here is what people want to consume in online video. And I said, how can I translate that to a business? And we started out doing a lot of sort of media buying and Facebook advertising when it was more powerful than it is now. And we pivoted a few times, did YouTube ads. We did full e-commerce at one point, and now we've sort of we've done so much testing around different formats of videos that specifically drive sales and leads, that we sort of just broke that out and we said, okay, we're just going to be video. So that's all we do now for the past year or so. We
Mm.
only create videos for paid media. And we're branching out a little bit at times, but ultimately we make videos that help people make money, and sort of based on our sort of unique DNA, I guess. So that's the
Okay,
abridged
so
version.
I wish I'd thought about really honing in on that, and I love that you said it because when lots of times when you hear people say, "Oh, you need to be doing video, you need to be doing video," there's no intent sometimes behind the video. And so, as you know, I'm very focused on being intentional with what we do in the social space. So I love that you're focusing primarily on just helping people with video ads that make money, drive leads and sales. So, question for all y'all that are watching live: who doesn't want to know how to do that? Like, instead of just saying, "Hey, I'm going to do a video ad and let's just see what happens," wouldn't it be nice if you knew if there was a formula for like actually getting a lead or a sale from it? So let's talk about that. So, well, before we do that, you also said something else. You also said, and I just had a conversation. Well, I've had many conversations in the last little bit about how Facebook ads are not as effective as they have been in the past. So there's a lot of a lot of people move into other platforms for spending their ad money. But how important are ads these days? Is it something that we should all be doing, spending at least a little bit of money on video, and of course video ads in particular, because they're probably more effective? But are ads for everyone?
That's a really good question. I actually think yes. I think everybody should be spending money on ads. I think at the very and I think often when we think about ads, we have a very specific offer that we're specifically running ads to get people that do not know us um in our community. So if that's a lead magnet, or if it's just basic conversions for e-commerce. But I mean, honestly, I think everybody should be running some sort of ads retargeting people that come to their website. I think that you're just missing an opportunity. And I think it's always a debate, and it's always going to change, that the way that we acquire customers, or or we acquire leads, or from people that have no relationship with us at all. That's always going to change and ebb and flow. But you should always be retargeting, because anybody that comes to your website, however it is that you're going about getting them, and if you're out there working really, really hard on social media, organic social media, to drive traffic to your website, you should be doing some retargeting so that you stay omnipresent with them. Because it's just very hard. I mean, attention is a commodity, and you're they're on your email list, and hopefully you're emailing them. I mean, if you're in the info space, you should be emailing them every day, every other day. If you're not doing that, or even if you are doing that, you want to, they should see you everywhere. And that could mean value-based content. It could be making offers. Remember, ads online are much different than ads on other platforms, billboards, TV commercials. They don't always have to be conversion focused. I mean, you can spend a very small amount of money taking your best value based content and sending it out to your warm audience all the time. If you have videos of yourself, let's say you've got an hour of video content that you can cut up into little bits. I mean, you would be amazed at what $1 a day to everybody that's visited your website in the past 6 months, or who's interacted with your pages in the past year. You'd be amazed at what that can do to help keep you top of mind, which, if you solve a very specific problem that these people that are in your audience either have or are going to have, then I mean, you should be very aware of advertising online because it doesn't need to be so expensive, and you can always be doing it.
Yeah, I love the tip that you gave about retargeting because, I think everybody thinks that it has to be a big spend. And, one of the problems we have when it comes to when there's a website visitor, if there's no way to capture them, if they don't opt in for some, for a freebie or something, then they're gone, and you never have you don't know who they are. You can't get in front of them again. But if you retarget them with a small ad spend, then they see your stuff back in their feed when they come back to Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're advertising. So a super smart strategy. So why video ads over like, static images or, text? Why video ads versus some other formats?
I definitely don't think that video ads are the only thing that you should be doing. I think that, I mean, we're just talking about Facebook here, right? I mean, like if we're comparing static image ads to video ads, we're kind of just talking about Facebook and Instagram advertising. But YouTube is only video. TikTok ads are only video. And then, of course, they're often the strongest. Uh, Thing you can do on Facebook and Instagram ads, but that's not always the case. So you should always be testing. I'm not here to say that it's the end all and be all, but 70% of online advertising these days is, and this is not an actual statistic. I don't know that anybody has this statistic, but if you take YouTube and TikTok are kind of the biggest new players in the game, and they're all video, I think that video is what you need to master on the ad side. But why video? I always say video is the quickest way to a conversion. Here's the thing, and I've been thinking a lot about this lately. And Kim and I are both going to a conference this weekend. We're going to be speaking in Lima, Ohio, and I've been putting together my talk there, and the same thing keeps coming up for me. Similar to what I talked about at the beginning of the show here about how I sort of believe that we're all on this planet I don't know if it's a social experiment or whatever it is, but we're here because of other people. Everything we do is for other people. And it's fascinating to me because often crushing social media online is kind of like mastering the art of shallow relationships. And I don't want shallow relationships. I want deep relationships with people. And I think that that's where video comes in. And not that people have deep relationships with me when they see me online, but video is the only way that I know of to be able to start a potentially deep relationship with a future client customer that where they can sort of feel me, like they can hear my voice, they can feel my vibe. I can make them laugh, I can make them cry, I can make them feel something deeply. And it's the best first step to a relationship that matters. I mean, Kim and I have been talking a lot about this lately about what are you doing online, and Kim mentioned intent. And what is the intent? I mean, when you're out there posting on social media or doing a live video or when you do a video ad, what is the actual intent? And you might say, I want to drive sales. That's the end goal, but you have to think about the other person because it's always a person that becomes a lead, a person that becomes a sale, and they want a relationship. Just like all relationships are built on trust and mutual trust, and they're built on knowing someone, understanding them, and liking them. And how do you do that in a world of shallow relationships? Well, the closest thing we can do is a meet cute with video because you can see my face. Like right now, you can see my face, and it is something, right? Like if this was a blog and I was writing a blog about all of this, you would feel less connected to me. than you might feel right now, whether you like me or not. You see in my eyes, and you sort of feel my vibe and what I'm all about, and you see my mannerisms and the way that I'm talking, and my book is called Producing Empathy, because I do believe that empathy is the key to the universe. I think that um, we're here to understand other people and to see connections with each other. And that's where video comes in. People want to see a mirror. So you can magnetically draw people to you through empathetic video content where they can see themselves and to see that you understand them. You understand them emotionally, which is very important because people buy with emotion. They become a lead with emotion. They do everything with emotion. Logic can help sell the deal, but they're never going to make a big leap. I mean, if you just think of the things in your life, and think about how how much they're tied to emotion. The last few things you bought on Amazon, you bought them because after buying them, they would make you feel a certain way, even if it was buying a new bunch of garbage bags so that you didn't run out in your kitchen. Um, it made you feel content, or like you feel like you did it, like you could check it off your list. It's a sigh of relief. Okay, I did that, right? Like it's an emotion. And so when we're talking about meeting people for the first time online and building deeper than shallow relationships with them, the first thing that we can do is show our face. If we're in that type of business, or if it's e-commerce, the first thing that we want to do is show people like them. People want to see people so that they can be empathetically drawn in. So that is my answer to why video. Kim
Mm.
Garst.
I love that answer. So I've always said that I think video is the fastest path to the know, like, and trust factor, which is just a shortened version of what you said. But it's so true. People, like, they connect. If you take a peek at anybody that has massive success in the online space, they're using video. And I think it's even more relevant today than it ever has been, because attention is, so you said it before, it's a commodity, and I think video attracts people. It gets the thumb stops, and versus sometimes the photos and things of that nature. So what are the most effective types of video ads that you found? I know we've talked a little bit about Facebook and Instagram, and like you said, YouTube and TikTok are the hot new kids on the block. But is it oblong? Is it, what's the most effective ad? And is it specific to the platform? That would be another sideline to that question, I guess.
Yeah, it's specific to the platform, of course. But I think the first thing to remember is that the most effective video ad has a human in it. Um, I think that's an important factor. People want to see people. It's funny, when I was at Business Insider, one of the roles that I had there at one point was I was the news editor of the whole website. And it was my job to make sure that because we had a lot of homepage traffic, and I had to optimize all of the headlines and all of the thumbnail images for clicks. And we had actually inside metrics in real time to show at what rate people were clicking on things on the pages. And it was so interesting. Many of the insights that I came across that I still use to this day. But one of those insights was that, without question, putting a person in the thumbnail image always generated 200-300% minimum higher click-through rate. And I think that's amazing. Go ahead, Kim. Yeah,
Can
yeah.
I ask a question on that?
Yeah,
So,
totally.
like, when we used to do even images and things in the early days before video ads were so popular, one of the things that we found worked the most effectively, most consistently, was, to your point, a person, but a smiling woman outperformed even men.
Yeah, that's
So I'm
interesting.
curious,
Yeah.
is it a woman, and why? Like, I'm just curious. What do you have an answer to that? I don't know.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. Fortunately or unfortunately, I think part of it is because it's well, women are looking for empathy because we're all looking for empathy. Men are looking for empathy and women are looking for empathy. So, and, a bit of aspiration. So women are attracted to that, and men like pictures of pretty girls. And so the men will click that. So I honestly think that's why women always outperform. It's interesting. I've actually had this conversation a fair amount, especially recently, because we use a lot of actors with scripted videos, and we often say, "Hey, do we want to use a male or a female here?" And it's kind of a mix between what will be a thumb stopper and what will drive empathy, and how can we do those two things, because I try to make the customer the main story, the main character. But that's interesting. Does that answer your question somewhat? I actually
Yeah,
think
it
it's pretty
does.
simple. Women want
I mean,
empathy and guys want pretty girls. It's just
I mean,
it's a
I
different
guess that
approach.
was kind of a bad question to ask, but I think that it isn't it's kind of it's kind of a fascinating thing, Again, it goes back to what drives results, and gets people to actually click through. Um, which I know we totally deviated from the main question, which was video format. Like, is it specific to the individual platforms, and should they be like, what have you found, like on Facebook? Is it square? Is it oblong? I say oblong landscape,
Oh, like
or
vertical, yeah,
phone
yeah.
size. What works best that you have found so far?
I mean, for the just like technical stuff, I mean, it should be square on Facebook and Instagram, because square videos get 100% more engagement. So you should make it square. It's kind of a mix between, if the headline bar that goes on top, it's kind of a mix between that. You should always test that, because sometimes that works the best. I think it usually works the best when there's some sort of headline bar on top. It's just stopping the scroll and pulling someone in that would be interested. Obviously YouTube, it's 16 by 9 and it's vertical on TikTok. As far as the actual formats go, I mean, it's so there's so many things that can work, and you have to test everything. I mean, I use a lot of actors because I believe that stories sell, because stories get to the heart of the emotion, and emotion helps people buy. And so we do a lot of like scripting, but it also kind of depends on what level of the funnel, I mean, in the acquisition phase, like for people that don't know you at all, it makes a lot of sense to tell a story, pull people in with empathy, and you want to do the entire pain, agitate, solve framework to be able to make sure that people understand the problem that you solve, but they also understand if they have that problem or not. And if they don't feel like that they have that problem, that it will be known to them very quickly in the video ad. So we often create videos that tell that story, which is essentially tracing the customer journey. And often we use a lot of comedy because it makes the ad sticky and memorable. And that's important. So very, very early on, they'll talk about the problem that they have, the core problem that's solved. They'll talk about how that makes them feel, because that's important, sort of rile up the emotions. And then, only then, can we sort of reveal how this solution is really unique, and then go into like features and benefits and all of those types of things before we
Mm.
sort of
I
nail it
love that.
down.
Yeah, which was one of my questions too. I was like, is there a formula for this? But we got a great question. I thought we'd pull it in real quick from Mark. Mark asked, should we validate an offer before investing in ad spend?
No.
And
And the only reason I say that is because, I mean, listen, like there's no rules. Like all the gurus out there say that there's a rule for everything. There's really like no rules. The only rule is like, do unto others as you would have do unto you. Like that's the only rule I think that matters. Like be kind. As far as like I say no, because my personal opinion is that ads are a really good way to validate offers, because it's very hard to validate an offer to a warm audience because they're tainted. Like they already like love you. Like Kim could put out an offer tomorrow on like the Kim Garst way to detail the interior of your car. And they might just be like, I don't care what this is. If Kim is selling it, I'm buying it. She must have figured out how to detail your car. That's amazing, because they love her, but she wouldn't have validated the offer. So I think it's a really good idea to do that through ads, actually. Hopefully
Yeah.
that answers your question, Mark.
Yeah, and I was just going to tag on to that just for a sec. I agree 100%. And this is especially important if you don't already have a community. So if you don't already have a community, or you don't have an email list to send out an offer, to test an offer, then the fastest way to validate an offer is with ads. And then the other thing that I wanted to tag on and say is,
Yeah.
you really can't scale until you can sell to cold traffic. So
Mm-hmm.
I want you to hear that, because if you're selling, like if I send something down to my list, just exactly like Matt said, there's a certain amount of people who have bought stuff from me over the years. They trust that I'm going to provide good value to them. They're going to buy. But if I put that same offer in front of somebody that doesn't know me from a bar of soap, and they don't buy, then and it's a repetitive thing. The people who have warm audience who bought from me just because they know me, versus somebody who doesn't. So you really do need to be able to sell to cold traffic in order to have enough, to scale your offer up. So I thought I'd just throw that in real quick. Deviated a little bit, but that's a big way to understand the structure of how you're going to get more money in the door, essentially. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it can be really confusing for people because there's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there that are really loud and they have rules about things, like, oh, you got to build your list to X number of subscribers using X type of lead magnet, and then you sell that to those people, and that's how you validate your offer. There's just so many opinions. But I
Yeah.
think Kim ultimately is right. I mean, an offer is good if people that don't know you from a hole in the wall want to buy it
Mhm.
or sign up
Yeah.
for it.
Or even if they showcase interest in it and they don't buy.
Yeah.
That's true too. Like, there's it, that may mean that they just need to know you a little bit better. If they show interest, you may need to nurture them and love them up a little bit before they're ready to buy, because they just still have that not sure that you can deliver kind of thing going on for them. Um,
Yeah.
so you talked about this a little bit, but I wanted to dig into it a little bit more. The formula for a video ad. So when I was listening to you talk about it a minute ago, it's basically the kind of a similar concept in the context of, the age old, hey, problem, hook them, what's your problem, whatever it is. Then you agitate it a little bit. You present your solution, and then you go into features and stuff. But is that basically the formula that you traditionally use when it comes to video ads?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Principles are timeless. I mean, worked um that worked, probably when there was marketing going on in, ancient Rome, or in the days of Aristotle. People were selling things, and ultimately it was pain agitates solution. Principles are never going to go out of style. And that's why we should pay a lot more attention to principles than we should to like little tactics and, things that will help us for a week, but not forever. But ultimately, I mean, that's sort of the format. If we're talking about acquiring new customers, right? Because the golden rule of marketing is meet people where they are. So if somebody is extremely aware of the problem that they have, they're extremely aware of what your solution is, but they haven't bought yet, you're not necessarily going to take them through a pain, agitate, solve thing, right? Because ultimately what you're doing now is you're trying to counter objections. So that's your time to come in with your features and your unique selling propositions and all of those types of things, right? So it's always about meeting people where they are. Now, that being said, when I was speaking at social media marketing world, I talked about the 4 R's, which is the way that I structure video ads, which is relate, rile, reveal, release. So at the beginning of the ad, I relate to the audience, and if you you can go on our website on guidesocialglobal.com, and you can see like CR videos, I think it says, and there's a billion examples of this. And essentially what it is like we have actors that sort of, they're not pretending to be customers. It's a commercial, but they're going through the process of becoming a customer. They're tracing the customer journey. But Relate is all about that problem. So I had this problem, or I felt like this, because it's empathy that drives people in, that hooks right away. So with the hook, you have empathy right off the bat. Rile is about stirring up the emotion around that, because you have to make people care about those problems. You know what I mean? Like it could be something like you're selling, and it's kind of a weird to say because it's such a big Wolf of Wall Street thing, but if you're selling a pen that's a really amazing pen, like an expensive, amazing pen that does all this amazing stuff, at the beginning of the ad, you might say something like, I'm getting so sick of my pen. Because it's always running out of ink, and et cetera, et cetera. People might not care at that point. So you need to rile up the emotion a little bit more and relate to them. You might say, I know you're probably saying I don't need to optimize my pen. My pen is fine. You just buy a new pen. But what if you didn't? What if when you were at that conference, you never had to worry about your pen running out of ink, and it actually looked cool? People are like, what kind of pen is that? You know? So there's the sort of rile up of that. I'm teaching you how to sell a pen through a video ad. Congratulations. I've never done this before. It's off the top of my head. And so you've done the pain and agitate part there. And honestly, you could do this with a founder's story as well, easily. If you just like, if you sell something, or a service or something where you had that problem before, or you understand that problem, you can easily tell this story from your perspective. And then you finally then can reveal what your unique solution is. And it has to be unique. And you talk about how it's different from the competition. And I can go into this a little bit about how you structure this ad. I have sort of a system for that, for how you structure the marketing around this and the messaging around it. And then you release. And release is very important. Because it takes all that tension that you built up in the rile phase, and it releases that tension for that person. It's kind of like in the sales process when you're future casting, helping somebody see what the feeling would be like when they had this, you know? Like, for example, I always say, do you want more money? I mean, you kind of say, yeah, I do. But I say, no, like, you don't really want more money. You want the feeling that will come with getting more money, right? The release, the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. Like, that's what you want, is that freedom, right? Not that money. And so we need to be really clear about that release and what emotional, now I feel confident. Now I feel like I don't have any stress in my life. Now I feel comfortable. Like now I feel less worried about everything, right? It's a now I feel statement, sort of, it's the easiest way to do it. So when we release that tension, we just magnetically attract people. They want to feel like they can feel that too, and that's great, right? That's really, really great. Yeah, Mark, future pacing, great way to do it. Yeah. So yeah, sure. So that's I don't remember where I was going with this. Now, obviously, like since this is based on marketing fundamentals, this works on all platforms, and the format
Yes.
that I'm talking about works amazing on YouTube as well. TikTok is a bit of a different story, which we can cover as well. But
Yeah.
generally, the 4 R's are how I structure all of my acquisition based video ads.
Okay, I love that. Such a simple process too. I mean, and definitely go check out some of the examples on his website. We'll drop in a link to his website here too, so you guys can go check it out. So what's the best way to get started with video ads without breaking the bank? I mean, where would you recommend that people start? Like, would it be Facebook? Would it be TikTok? Would it be YouTube? Where should people that are just getting started dip their toe in, if in your humble opinion?
For paid traffic, I mean, I think it's good to get started with organic to get comfortable, but like, I mean, so I don't think that you should overthink this. Like, if you have a brand that you're the face of, and I know many of you out there are, so if you are this the like if you have a service-based business that you run and you're the marketing face of that, or if you're a coach or a consultant, obviously you're the face of that, you're the whole business. Um and even if you sell a physical product, there's that connection there with being the top of it, but that's the slight difference there. I think the best way to start it, like, without breaking the bank. I mean, obviously the best way to do anything without breaking the bank is not hiring someone to do it. So you got to figure out how to do it yourself. Obviously we all have phones, and it's a very like simple piece of advice that everybody gets, that we should just be like using our phones to shoot content. But the reality is y'all are like gonna get like, you just lost. You're still like, I don't know what to shoot. Just because I have a camera doesn't mean I know what to do about it. Like in the filmmaker community, we talk about this all the time. Like, we all get really jazzed up about the newest gear and the cameras that we buy and everything, but we're all very aware that it's not about the camera or the gear that we have, as like fun as that is. It's about what we do with it. So I think the easiest way, the first thing that I would do, this is my recommendation for all creative work. The first thing that I would do has nothing to do with video at all. I would start journaling. I'm a really big believer in journaling. I have my iPad Pro and I use my Apple Pencil for all my note taking and everything. And I use Notability as the app I use, and I have separate sections for personal journal and business journal. And every time that I need to make a decision in my business or work through a creative idea in my business, I start free form journaling, like with no goal or intent in mind, just to like, because that's how you think. Like, thinking is not an active thing that you can do. That's why all your best ideas come out in the shower. So if you want to actually replicate the good idea generation process, the best way to do it is to just start journaling, because it's just an active thing that'll get it out there. Nobody will see it, so there's not even any performance there. You're simply articulating it. So what I would do is I would start journaling about here's a good first thing to do. Start that journal and do my problem solution framework like really quickly, which is on a scale of 1 to 10, how so you have a business, and businesses solve problems. That's why businesses exist, to solve problems, right? So you have a problem that you solve. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how problem aware is my ideal customer, and how solution aware is my ideal customer? And that will unlock so much for you as far as messaging, because all of a sudden you'll understand, oh, I need to educate them more about the problem, or I don't need to educate them more about the problem. So for example, like a plumber doesn't have to educate people very much about their problem, because they know they have the problem. Their faucet is leaking. We know that, but the solution, people are very aware of the solution as well. So you have to do all of your work trying to make sure that you're the plumber they choose. They know they need a plumber, they just don't know what plumber to choose. Then you can start thinking through, okay, well, I think I might know what my relate, rile, reveal, release is. So just start with that really quickly, so you can understand empathetically what your ideal target customer like cares about and what they're looking for when they see a video, because that's important. Like, you have to have that empathy. Like, you can't nobody cares about you. They don't know you. They only care about themselves. So your audience is out there thinking constantly, with all the content that they consume, how does this impact me? How does this affect me? What do I get out of this? Why do I need this? Right? Like, that's what they're thinking. So you need to meet them where they are. So, and it's not that people are bad. This is just how we're wired, right? It's just how we're wired. It's all good. So, then you can start writing through, like, you could start sort of free forming through the 4 R's, sort of. You could sort of be like, hey, what's the relate? Like, how can I, like, what is that person thinking about and feeling? And then you could think about, hey, like what are the deep emotions tied to that? Okay, like, how is my product or service super unique? And does it solve that problem in a really unique way? And then do I release the tension and give them an emotion? Like, how would I future pace like the emotion of like, after you buy my service or buy my product or sign up for this, you will feel X, which should feel like a ray of sunshine or a breath of fresh air. You know, after you do that freeform journaling, it should open up a million things for you. You know, when it comes to a video ad, if you have if you're the face of a brand, or you can be the face of a brand, the best way to do it is to just get really raw and vulnerable and go out there and use the 4 R's as your basic framework, and don't even think about it too much. Just sort of like, you've done all this journaling, so you kind of know the story. Like, that's a story. It's structured in a way that creates a story. So you could basically be like, I felt just like you. Or if you have no relationship to it at all, you could actually tell a customer's story, which allows you to take people through that same thing. You could be like, Alex had no idea what to do. He was making $3,000 per month throwing spaghetti against the wall and had no idea how to actually make more money in his business. And he was about to give up on it all. He just had a little baby and he was lost, and he was just about to give up on it all. But then I met him and I found out what he was doing. And that's when I told him about this program. And I told him about how it actually solves this exact problem. And it's super simple, and it gives you support in these amazing ways. And after we started working together, and after 30 days, he had achieved XYZ, and it made him feel so not worried anymore, so content, so happy. It was an amazing thing that he felt, and I'm so glad I can do that. So that's how you can do it from a customer story perspective. Or if you're a coach or a consultant, chances are you're teaching people how to stop, or how to achieve a goal that you've achieved, or get over an obstacle that you've gotten over. And then you just tell your story, but you do it in this 4 R's format, where you say, I felt just as lost as you do right now when it comes to my online business. I was doing this, I was doing this, I was doing this. I was ready to give up. I was going to throw in the towel. I even thought about getting a job, just because I have a little kid. I wanted to support my family. Like, at what point does this become a pipe dream instead of a dream, And but then I came across XYZ. Sam, we're getting into the reveal here. So hopefully you can kind of see through this process how you can start to do this for yourself, and how, like, no matter what business you have or what resources that you have, you can, and obviously being comfortable on camera is a whole other conversation, which I can talk you through and help you with. But I think that that's the first step. Journal, get it out there, and then you can sort of plug anything into this little formula in some way. I
I
hope
love
that
it.
helps. I never
Yeah.
want to make anything seem more simple than it is, because the hard work is hard because it works, and
Yes.
it's results,
Mhm.
But yeah,
And it's worth taking the time to break it down. I loved how you
it
talked
really
about
is. Yeah.
understanding. It's all about messaging at the end of the day. I mean, you have to
Yes.
understand where your person is, what their problem is, and how your solution relates to them in a way that they care about, not the way you think they do. And it's hard sometimes to do this. It's not as simple as just fill in the blank. I mean, sometimes you can, if you understand your person totally, but otherwise, you really got to get into your messaging. I've really began to understand how important messaging is, especially more so now. I think, it's like, I liken this to the early days of the internet when you could have sold anything. You threw up a page and, widget this or widget that, and people were buying it. But then as we have evolved in the online space, and there's so many people throwing amazing offers out there to everybody, um, they are more discerning, and we have to get a lot more clear in why our thing matters to them in a unique way. So
And you have to actually care. You
yeah,
can't
and you
fake
have
it.
to, yes, You can't see dollar signs on everybody's forehead. You have to lean in with a servant-based heart. I think it makes such an amazing difference. Um, okay, well, we've talked about. I was going to ask about inspiration, but you for video ads, but you just nailed that so well. I think with the journaling concept, I think that is an amazing way to get started. I not even hadn't even thought of that, so I was like, oh my gosh, that is so brilliant. Um, so, what, in your opinion, are like no nos when it comes to video ads? What would you say? Absolutely do not. I know you said you got to test everything, but have you seen stuff that is just horrible? Don't do this under any circumstances. What would you suggest us not doing?
I think the best advice, like, I think the most egregious, I think the worst problem that I see is just people that aren't doing it from what you help people with, Kim, messaging. They're just not doing the messaging correctly. So, it's just basically it's not that they're not using the 4 R's, but like it, it's that they're talking all about features. Think about the last few ads that you saw for like a physical product, like you like buy something, right? How like almost positive that most of what you saw was all about like all the things that this product does. Like it does this and it does this and it does this and it does this and then it does this. Or like if you have a coaching program, it's like in the coaching program you will learn this and 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 you will get this and you will get that. Or I have a service and we will do this for you and we will do that for you and we will do that for you and you'll get this bonus and look at our results here. But they're not talking about the problem. That's the biggest problem. That people don't talk about the problem, and they also don't use emotion. They only appeal to logic. That's the biggest issue that I see, is that they don't appeal to emotion. They only appeal to logic. So those are a no. And I know, like, everybody always wants me to have like a tactical thing, like don't do this, do that. I've seen the craziest, weirdest tests work. I think ultimately, if you're trying to create like a great human relationship with people and you're doing the marketing principles of essentially what the 4 R's are based on, you're in really good shape. From a conversion perspective, of course, there's little things like you need to have a hook. And it's kind of like, what is a hook? I get it. It's like, I know intellectually what a hook is, but I still can't like nail it. So the reason that you need it and the reason that this is ubiquitous advice is for obvious reasons. If you're advertising in a newsfeed based platform or on YouTube, which is interruption advertising, it's all interruption advertising. You just need to get people to actually be interested in what you're doing more than what they are doing. So so people don't go to Facebook and Instagram to go see ads. People go to Facebook and Instagram to post and to like and comment and see who was posting and liking and commenting on their stuff and to interact with their friends and people for business and whatever it might be. They're not going to see ads. Same thing is true with YouTube. They're consuming content, usually about their passions and stuff like that, not to see ads. And that's true of every platform, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever it is. Any kind of platform. Even Google ads, they're not necessarily going to see ads. They're going to get a problem solved, right? So what you have to do is be more interesting and alluring than the content that they went to see, and sort of take advantage of this idea that human beings, and this is true, it's been scientifically proven that human beings cannot multitask. They can only task switch. And so you need to make sure that they task switch to your message. That's why you need a hook. So you need to really make them care very quickly. So in a Facebook and Instagram ad, that's why I'm a big fan of like big text on screen emphasizing it. Like let's say that you're like you want to, like, let's say that you're speaking an ad. You want to start with a very like a very like splitting statement. Like it'll make people feel very strongly about it right at the beginning. So like I was sick of doing XYZ or whatever it was, like that really pulls people in empathetically and just go bam, 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 like have the words take up the whole screen, or put the headline bar up there so that they see it right away. Because when you're scrolling through with you got your thumb, it's moving, you got to stop the thumb. And on YouTube, I mean, you don't have very much time before they skip the ad. So you need to make sure that they are drawn in. TikTok, people are just like, it's even more like habitual to just like on to the next TikTok. You gotta hook people in. And so with each of these platforms, you have different tools. These videos will autoplay for almost everybody on Facebook and Instagram ads. So you want to do it. So it really needs to be visual in some way. Like that hook needs to have a big visual element. So big crazy footage, but likely if we're talking about ads here, I mean, the best thing you can do is big text that just like has people like, so they can see right away that they should be watching and it stops them right in their tracks. YouTube and TikTok autoplay with sound, so you can use sound to do it as well. I mean, it could be. I mean, a lot of times you'll see somebody just simply saying "stop." You'll see that a lot, or "stop scrolling" or something like that. I mean, you'll hear that. So that's very important. That's a big problem that I see. I don't have advice on length or anything like that. I mean, a lot of our videos are about a minute 20 long. Sometimes they're a minute. I don't think that matters as much. I think what's most important is that you're doing the marketing principle work and the messaging work along with that. But you do need to make sure that you have the hook. If you have nothing else, you got to have the hook because if you don't have that, they'll never see the ad. I mean, then it will have zero
So good.
impact.
So good. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that one of the things when it comes to length is if you cover, if you hook them, more than likely they're going to stick, and especially if you keep talk, if your messaging is on point, I think they'll, you hook them, they'll stay with you. That's why I think the messaging is so important. Real quick, before I say, hey, where can everybody connect with you? I want to just give a shout out to Mark and Aaron, who are the winner of your book, the Producing Empathy book. If you'll go over to kimgarst.com/winner and give us your details, we will order that and get it out to you. It'll come through Amazon because Amazon is all of our friends, right? At least that's
And let me give you guys a bonus.
okay.
I made a course called Producing Empathy in Practice, which like helps you sort of make videos with my systems in that. You guys can have that too if you want.
Yes. Where do they go to get that? Like
Yeah,
we've
I'm
got,
gonna give you
um,
I want
nope, we
I,
can drop it in. You just tell me what it is.
yeah, well, so let me say this. Anybody here who is like serious about video and they really want to be serious about video ads and really want to get rolling and they want to put some like stuff into this, just text me directly at my business text number. And Mark and who else won?
Mark and hang on.
Mark and
Mark and
Aaron.
Aaron.
Okay, Mark and Aaron, you text this number too and say, I'm one of the ones who won. Can you give me access to this course? And I'll just have Kelsey on my team just add you to the Thinkific course and you can have it. It's just like I just walk you through. I mean, it's hard to have a book on video, right? Like you need to see some video
Yeah,
stuff going on. So
right.
I'll give you that as well.
So
So the
what's
phone
the
number
number?
is 877 324 4605. 877-324-4605.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this on the screen.
Yeah.
Right, hang
Yeah.
on. I'm gonna
So if
drop
you
it
I mean,
in, but I'll also put,
and yeah, I'm speaking at Social Media Week Lima, and then I'm going to be in
mhm.
Cancun for a business mastermind thing. I think I'll see you at both of these events, Kim.
So
But
yes, we're both speaking at the Social Media Day Lima Lima event. I always want to say Lima,
I know.
and then we're going to Cancun. I'm excited about that.
I
So
know. So we get to
definitely,
spend so much time together. But after that, if you text me and you're serious, you got to be serious about video though, because I don't like.
mhm,
I will hop on the phone with you for 20 minutes and just give you as much free advice as I can for 20 minutes. So just text me and let me
yeah,
know you're interested in that, and I'll make sure it gets scheduled. Okay, okay, everybody. That's important because
awesome.
I like to practice what I preach. I don't want shallow relationships. I want deep relationships. So
Yeah.
text me and let's have a conversation. And I'm excited for you guys that got the book and the course. I think
Yes.
you'll enjoy it. It's short.
But that's amazing. I thank you so much for dropping your wisdom with us and being just amazing human being. You're just so
Well,
awesome.
thank
I'm
you. I
so glad
appreciate
we,
you
we
so much.
connected. So, for all of you guys, definitely text Matt. Also, check out some of his videos on his website. We dropped the link in for that as well. So, mattjohnstononline.com. So, y'all, follow him. He is amazing. You're going to get so much value from him, and he's just a good guy. So, you're going to be so blessed. Thank you guys for being with us today. Appreciate you so much. As I know, time is our most valuable thing. And when you spend some with us, we appreciate it so much. So take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God bless. And we'll see you next week. We have Dennis Yu coming next week. We're going to be talking about, so next week, Dennis
Video
Yu,
ads.
we're TikTok ads, TikTok. We're going to be talking
Yeah.
the TikTok next week. So
Cool.
you guys join us. A lovely guest for next week as well. So Matt, again, thank you. Everybody
Thank
stay
you,
safe,
Kim. Thank you,
and we'll
everybody.
see you next week.